I hope, I pray you are able to see at least part of what I saw up there and feel part of what I felt up there. And that is the different parts doing their parts and then coming together. I mean, really, really coming together. I have had the privilege of being in a hot air balloon half a dozen times.
Wow.
Have you ever been in a hot air balloon? No?
What's wrong with you?
Well, let me tell you something. It's not that scary. Okay? For an absolute adrenaline junkie like me, in fact, it's actually kind of boring. If you close your eyes, you would not even notice that you're off the ground because you just gently float off the ground. If you'd like to give it a try, I strongly encourage you not to think about it, because to fly in a hot air balloon, you pretty much do just about everything the exact opposite of what you learn down here on terra firma, on Earth, in daily life. For the far majority of our lives, we are taught to fear uncertainties, fear change, fear the unknown. In other words, fear everything we can't control. So what do? We acquire all the possible tools and all the possible gifts to fight against unpredictability, to avoid obstacles, all in an effort to have more control, to go in the direction that we want to go, when we want to go, and how we want to get there. Sometimes it works. Another thing I saw up here is the different parts of the choir doing their parts and then coming together. I know a lot of the stories up here in the choir. And let me tell you, we need each other. We truly make each other better. So we can make all the great plans, we can get all the education, we can gather up all the tools that we have, but let's be honest, sometimes, actually, as a matter of fact, let's really be honest. Most of the time, you can cross all the T's and you can dot all of the I's, and things can still go sideways. Truly, life is pretty random. In a hot air balloon, everything is different. You have no power, you have no engine, you have no steering, really. You don't even control your own speed or direction. The wind does that for you. If you want to go faster or in a different direction, you need to find a different layer of wind to carry you, hopefully in the direction and at the speed that you want to go. Come to think of it, it's kind of a permanent crisis situation. You know where you came from, but you really don't know where you're going. Maybe that's why so many people find it scary. But think about it. It's actually like real life, isn't it? Almost everything we face, social fads, business trends, bull markets or bear markets, political roller coasters, even accidents, sicknesses, and health, success and failure, we could go on and on, are all like the wind. They come at us from almost unpredictable ways and push us towards the unknown. So if we want to spend our lives fearfully clinging to the known, always trying to do it the same way, spitefully rejecting the unknown, then we're going to be living in a nightmare, aren't we? Jesus was very, very clear that following him was not going to be easy. It is not a smooth ride. He was bound to choose the just way, not the easy way through life. To take up the cross is to choose one's life, choose to lose one's life, to let it go. To let go of uncertain expectations, to let go of safety and acceptance in order to stand up for the gospel of love, in order to stand up for the gospel of love. What if we behaved like balloon pilots and changed our altitude to the winds of life in our way of behaving and in reacting, even psychologically, physiologically, spiritually? What if, instead of holding on for dear life to doctrines and dogmas, creeds and censures, thou shalls and thou shalt nots, what if we really, in every moment, modify our vision to align with God's wind, God's spirit, God's ruah, to steer us around the obstacles and get us to the ways of justice, righteousness, and mercy. Now, I have to forewarn you, this is not just a poetic metaphor. It becomes very, very concrete behavior as soon as we understand how a balloon works. If you want to climb, you have to become lighter. And therefore, you have to drop ballast, that is sand or water or things you don't need anymore, hopefully on unpopulated areas. The truth is, we have a lifetime of ballast. And we've unfortunately been taught to keep it on board, to protect it with our lives, even to hoard it. Our ballast tends to be made out of selfishness, our safety, and our greed. Have you noticed how much we tend to cling to familiar habits in the middle of a crisis instead of dropping our ballast overboard? You see, learning to drop the ballast is crucial. If we don't learn to drop the ballast, we'll never change. We'll never soar. We'll never catch the spirit wind of God. Only after we've dropped our ballast can we take up our cross and follow Jesus. When we drop the ballast of our selfishness, we realize that we're not in the driver's seat, God is. And only then can we take up the cross of justice to live into the fact that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's following Jesus. When we drop the ballast, this one's a little bit heavier, of our safety And instead of running from suffering, embracing suffering, only then can we take up the cross of righteousness and live into the fact that the onus is upon us all to improve the human condition. That's following Jesus. When we drop the ballast of our greed, only then can we take up the cross of mercy and make self-sacrifices to meet the needs of the physically, spiritually, emotionally less fortunate, and live into the fact that when we unite in purpose with God, we can carve tunnels into mountains of despair. That is following Jesus. Friends, rather than being blown around by winds of life, allowing ourselves to become victims of its randomness, let's drop the ballast bags of our selfishness, our safety, our greed, so that we can capture the power of God's ruah, God's spirit, God's wind. Only then can we take up the cross of justice, righteousness, and mercy for all of God's children. That's following Jesus. Amen? Amen.